Hello viewers, welcome to TFN News Review. I am Sajo Brito. First, the headlines. President Barrow goes on annual leave. Manslaughter trial of Saina Mumbai and others adjourned today. Some residents of Taysito in Banjul North have expressed their dismay over President Barrow's visit to flash flood victims on Monday, 1st August 2022. The Gambia Competition and Consumer Protection Commission has briefed the media on its recent activities in enhancing fair business competition and the protection of consumers. Also, famous Gambian economist Nyang Jai has lashed out at the Gambian government for a 30% salary increase over what he calls a doomed economy. The National Assembly member of Banjul North, Modu Lamin Biramba, says the Gambia would lose its capital to flooding if proper measures are not taken by the authorities. Flood victims in Banjul, also temporarily housed at St. Joseph Senior Secondary School, have told the Fatu Network about their challenges after the weekend flash floods. These and more coming up in the news. Stay tuned. Welcome back. His Excellency Adama Barrow, President of the Republic of the Gambia, will on Friday, 5th August 2022, go on 15 working day leave as part of his annual leave entitlement. The President will resume duties on Wednesday, 31st August 2022. Meanwhile, manslaughter trial of Saina Mumbai and others was adjourned to Friday, 5th August 2022. Sainabu and others are being tried at the High Court for manslaughter. More in this report by Usman Seikan.
Justice Ibrahim Jaite of the Banjul High Court has disregarded the Defense Counsel's oral application for the accused persons to be granted bail in a manslaughter case involving Saina Mumbai and co. Sainabu is the ex-wife of Bob Keita, a young businessman who has been on trial for almost 2 years for allegedly raping Sainabu's younger sister. The defense applied for the court to grant the accused persons bail after the state applies for a short adjournment as they wait for an autopsy on baby Muhammad, the child whose death Sainabu and others are being tried for, to file an indictment. He told the court that they would need a week or two before they file an indictment. However, Defense Counsel C. Gay argued that there is nothing before the court besides the transferred files. As a result, the accused persons cannot be detained just because the state is putting their house in order. The judge replied to the defense counsel that their application was not proper. He said the defense should have written a motion on notice and served the prosecution because oral applications can be had after indictments are filed. While opposing the oral application of the defense, saying manslaughter is unbailable, the prosecution argued that it would be misinformation to suggest that there is nothing before the court. The defense argued that there is nothing stopping the court from granting bail to the accused persons, given their lack of criminal record. Justice Jaite suggested for the defense to write formally and serve the prosecution, who has up to 48 hours to reply. The defense asked if the sitting could be resumed on Friday, to which Justice Jaite says rests in the hands of the prosecution. The prosecution agreed. Speaking to this medium, Mohammed Mbai, brother of Saina Mumbai, said they are okay with the justice system and will allow the court to do its work.
Wow, as family members, yeah. Lead la rek dañ lead. Yeah, loolu la rek.
Naka ngeen gisee mbirum case bi naka la nekk di demee, are you satisfied with the justice system of this country?
Alhamdulillah, comme niñ ko waxee rek justice bi nii la moo demee daal. Dañ ko jàpp si yàlla rek lu xew rek ñu xam ne loolu la xam nga. Yàlla moom lu mu dogal moom kenn mënu si dara, benn jaam mënu si dara. So lii dafa waroon a ñëw suñu wéy rek, so we will take it as good faith. Xam ne yàlla lii la dogal te yàlla mën na moo def lu raw li, you know. So ñun moom alhamdulillah rek la ñëw xam nga ñu si sant yàlla xam nga.
The case was adjourned to the 5th of August for further mentioning. Reporting for the Fatu Network, I am Usman Sedikan.
in now flood victims in Banjul North, temporarily housed at St. Joseph's Senior Secondary School, spoke to the Fatu Network about challenges after the weekend flash floods. They say they prefer living in their houses or at least relocated to another place other than the school. Hadis Sise has more.
Residents in Banjul North and its surrounding have expressed their challenge to the Fatu Network as they still battle with the aftermath of the weekend flash flood. The affected residents told this medium that, aside the destruction of their houses and valuable stagnant water is still found everywhere. As a response mechanism, St. Joseph Senior Secondary School has been converted into a temporary shelter for affected households. The flood victims said they prefer living in their affected houses to be relocated to another place other than living in the school. They plead with government to help them pump out the stagnant water, which they said is still in their dwellings.
Suñu yàlla génnalee lii mun nañoo daba jaanale suñu bopp ñu lekk waaye lii mooy problème bi mooy lépp nañu jàppal ngir yàlla yonente bi nañu nguur gi gestuwaat mu yóbbul ñu ndox bi.
laalamina ndax lii su àndoon ak ngelaw wala mu ànd ak leneen dina gën a ñaaw waaye àndut ak ngelaw ndox mi nag bari na foo ko natt passé na ko fu métti di em foofu lañ dooree waaye sant nañ yàlla baax ndax mënoon nañ koo am suñ kansilo yi fàtte ñu suñ président yi fàtte ñu suñ député bi bàyyi ñu te sant nañ yàlla ak yonent ba waaye sant nañ honorable Elba.
man maa ngi àgg ci récolte bi fii noonu foofu lay jëm suma jabar ak suma doom ak sama seet ak suma goro yëpp mu ngi fa foofu lay fanaan demal nga àgg si néeg nga ne ana néeg paa bi nga gis métti kay passé na wax kon nag comme que kenn deful yàlla moo ko def dañu noppi rek xaar yàlla.
foog ñu utal ñu fuñ mun a toog ñu mun a dëkkaat suñu njaboot yi man dama am ay doom waaye seen baay dafa gaañu man nag maa leen liggéeyal suma boppa amee leen dama amoon doom bu góor waaye jàng na ba wàcca government sax ñoo ko fayal waaye moromam mi ñoo ko yóbbu baag wi mu gaañu foofu kooku sax moom a gënoon a amee dañoo ñaan government rek gars yi dimbale nag fuñ mun a toog ñu mun a nekk ñu mun a xam si lan lañ nekk rek loolu lañ leen di ñaan bëgguñ maalo bëgguñ xaalis bëgguñ dara nañu utal place rek fu ñu wax ni kaay leen toog.
right now soo duggee suma néeg doo ñeme taxaw puub moo dugga suma néeg mënumaa taxaw suma bagage yëpp a yaaxu gars yi gis nañ foofu suma bagage yëpp a yaaxu dara desut.
man suma doom ñetti doom laa amee ku ndaw ki dafa amee asma moom mënut a nokki ndox ba leneen ki may liggéeyal moo ko jël sax mu ne xaaral mu tiyel ma ko kooku bëgg na maa dimbale waaye dafa amut fu mu ñu yóbbu moo tax mu jël suma xale bu ndaw bi mu yóbbu ko su fekkutoon du ñuy Red Cross kon time bi ñun dee nañ bu yàgg parce que xam nga xale yi wéruñ ak nawet bi nii.
Aïssatou Diouf, Deputy Coordinator of Disaster Management at the Gambia Red Cross Society, disclosed that through their Emergency Operations Center, they were able to mobilize 235 households.
Through our Emergency Operations Center, and we were able to mobilize some non-food items for 235 households within the Greater Banjul area. So the materials that we have mobilized include bed nets, mats, blankets and hygiene kits. So this is just an initial immediate response that we are doing to reduce the impact of these floods on the affected households.
Ibrahim Sise, the branch officer for Gambia Red Cross Society, highlights the challenges they encounter with affected households.
To come, but they don't want to be seen, by the society that they are so much affected. That become a challenge because immediately it was after 7, we had a lot of people coming in large numbers, which led us to the issue of logistics. We had logistics constraints. As I speak to you right now, people are coming by day, even as we speak right now. And the hall actually is at a maximum capacity right now.
The affected people call on the government, philanthropists and organizations to help as they still battle with the challenges posed by the flash flood. Reporting for News Review, Hadisise.
Still on the weekend's flash flood, some residents of Tesito in Banjul North have expressed their dismay over President Barrow's visit of flash flood victims on Monday, 1st August 2022. They say the president visited other areas, but however claimed that for them the president just passed by and didn't come down from his vehicle to empathize with them. Let's join Hadisise once again.
Some residents of Banjul North have expressed their dismay over President Barrow's visit of flash flood victims on Monday, 1st August 2022. The residents said the president just passed by without stepping out from his car to visit affected houses.
That is so disappointing because we were expecting him to come and see on the ground what is really happening. Because when he came, the locals were here. They were even raising their hands for him just to come and see what was happening. The situation was so devastating, but what makes it more painful was the president came here and refused to step down to see what was happening firsthand.
Pour ñun la waaw président bi tam demba ñëw na fii nii moom parce que mënu ma si wara daf ñu ñàkkee kersa yow nga ñëw nga ne ndox bi sa gox nga ñëwal at least nga wàcca sa nga mun a taxaw sa xam ñooñu lan la ñuy ñaxtu waaye toog si biir moto duga ekati sa loxo loolu ñëpp a ko mun man moom daal man apprécié tuma daal moom duga seem si biir gox bi.
Adama Barrow moom amuñ dara luñ ko wax moom waaye moom ñëw na gis na waaye wàccut te waxut dafa war a wàcca mu wax mu wax mën na leen ne lii de jënalu ñu waaye xam nga mu nga feel nit ñi sa métit daf ko war a yëg man loolu laa am pour wax.
waaw maa ngi leen di gërëm Gambia di gërëm ministre yi di gërëm président Barrow mu nga xam ne ñëw na fi démb ba wàcc suñu ndox bi su ne ko Yaya Jammeh buy rey nit dafa wàcc ministre yëpp dugg si ndox bi ñu seet lu xew wala mu taxaw si moto bi fo ne xale yi nañ ko uyu benn xale du ko uyu tey du ko uyu ëllëg nguuram jeex na si 5 years li ni.
Honorable Biran Bah of Banjul North constituency said he is disappointed in the president for not visiting flood-affected areas at Tesito and its surroundings.
Because personally, I was not here because I stepped out of the city for some emergency purposes. Why, when I came back, I was told that even the president was here, but in his car, in his vehicle, which is not something we never expect. Tamid Mange urge the president and his team, and through one of his ministries, that is the Ministry of Works, then guess to what? We have spent a lot of money as far as this Banjul rehabilitation project is concerned.
However, President Barrow, together with several government ministers and the mayor of Kanifing municipality, visited several flash flood affected areas in the Kanifing municipality and West Coast region. Reporting for TFN News Review, Hadisise.
Welcome back. The National Assembly member of Banjul North, Modu Lamin Biram Bah, has said the Gambia would lose its capital to flooding if proper measures are not taken. Alimatu S. Bajinka has more on that story.
Our city we are talking about here, that is the city of Banjul, the only city in this country.
Over the weekend, a lot of settlements across the country experienced what was regarded as the heaviest rainfall recorded since the 2022 rainy season began. In fact, according to the Department of Water Resources, the almost 24 hours torrential rain is the highest of its kind in 34 years. A lot of communities, especially in urban Gambia, have been affected by the flooding, which was a result of the heavy downpour, including Banjul, the country's capital city. During an interview on the TFN News Review, the National Assembly member for Banjul North constituency, Modu Lamin Biram Bah, said that the Gambia will lose its capital city to flooding if eminent measures are not taken.
Our city we are talking about here, that is the city of Banjul, the only city in this country. If we don't come up with immediate solutions, I am telling you for real, we will soon lose the city. One of the things you make the halat right now is to urge the government, more especially the relevant stakeholders, to make sure you try by all means you relocate the people from Tobacco Road. If not, more disaster will come.
Honorable Bah revealed that the current situation of the city is a result of lack of planning.
As a honorable member, there is lack of planning in terms of whatever happened in Banjul. It was something that happened in front of me in 2019. You bury Kontansi, you know, Banjul Rehabilitation Project. This Banjul Rehabilitation Project, you know, will address the road system, the sewage, and the drainage system. But even Balen Amute Lisa Bir Banjul was better for us. To be honest. Because people are homeless. Because of land, the ring canal is not functioning.
The heavy downpour began in the early hours of Saturday, 30th July, and continued into the early evening of Sunday, leaving a lot of people homeless and forcing some to get shelter from their neighbors. This situation was described by many as unfortunate. For the Fatu Network, Alimatu S. Bajinga.
And now in football, Kaba Bajo, incumbent president and candidate for the forthcoming Gambia Football Federation presidential election, has declined to participate in Gambia Football Federation's presidential debate to be organized by the Commission on Political Debates. Dauda Balde files in this report.
The Commission on Political Debate has announced that incumbent Lamin Kaba Bajo has declined his participation in the first ever Gambia Football Federation presidential debate slated to take place on August 13, 2022. According to the Commission, Kaba Bajo, in his response to the invitation to participate in the debate, said his team have already lined up series of campaign activities which does not include nor encourage public debate or confrontation between them and fellow stakeholders. However, the Commission said it is still optimistic that Kaba Bajo and his team will reconsider their position to participate in the Median Gambia Football Federation presidential debate. Moreover, the Commission assured the public that the debate, which is scheduled to take place on the 13th of August 2022, will still go on as planned. Sadibu Kamaso will be contesting against his former boss, incumbent Lamin Kaba Bajo, on the 27th August 2022, as they lock heads to run for the affairs of the Gambia Football Federation. For TFA News Review, Dauda Balde. The Commission...
Dauda Balde there. Now renowned Gambian economist Nyang Jai has lashed out at the Gambian government over the recent 30% salary increase approved by the National Assembly. Mr. Jai says the current Gambian economy is in fact a doomed economy. Usman Sedikan has more.
Prominent economic expert Nyang Jai has criticized the National Assembly's decision to pass the revised budget that increases the basic salaries of civil servants across the board by 30%, describing it as an inequitable increment that has doomed the country's economy. The 30% salary increment was secured after the approval of the revised estimate budget tabled by the Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs, Sidi Keita, in the first extraordinary session in the 2022 legislative year.
This economy is doomed as we speak, and the economy is on vacation, and the country is not growing. If the country is not growing, we don't have revenues. If we don't have revenues, it means for the rest of the year, we will resort to public borrowing, which is called deficit financing, to pay salaries. That is consequential to our domestic debt that is already bloating. So any which way you look at it, it's a cost to society, and it's taking the economy and Gambians backward. So no one has won, but it was a politically expedient move, and politicians have scored a point to the detriment of the economy and livelihoods of Gambians.
The economist went on further to say the government should have embarked on a comprehensive civil service reform before opting for a salary increment, an increment he referred to as inequitable. According to him, there are ghost workers on the payroll who are supposed to be removed before thinking of a salary increment.
If they were hell-bent on coming up with a salary increment, they should first look at equity. What is equity? Not everyone should get 30%, because if you look at the total payroll of government, it is fat top up and on the bottom is empty. And 75 to 80% of government workers fall below the 7,000 threshold. So what did the government do? Something that's not equitable, and government should ensure an equitable social contract, and first and foremost, it should start with the public service.
Although the finance minister told the lawmakers the increment was meant to improve the lives and livelihoods of Gambians, however, it received criticisms from some quarters who believe it is discriminatory. They say it enriches the rich and impoverishes the poor. Reporting for the Fatu Network, I am Usman Sedikan. Prominent economic.
The Gambia Competition and Consumer Protection Commission has briefed the media on its recent activities in enhancing fair business competition and the protection of consumers. Karimatu Jallo has more on that story.
The Gambia Competition and Consumer Protection Commission (GCCPC) has today, 3rd August 2022, organized a press conference in their office at Kotu to brief the media on the Commission's activities. According to the Competition Act of 2007 and the Consumer Protection Act of 2014, the mandate of the GCCPC is to promote and enforce fair competition in the Gambia economy and also protect consumers in consuming goods and using service in the country. Chairperson of GCCPC, Yasin Sangor, highlights the activities of the Commission in implementing its mandate.
And that was the basis upon which this commission was established, was the Competition Act in 2007. And the purpose of the Competition Act is to promote competition in all sectors by prohibiting collusive agreements, bid rigging, investigating and controlling other types of restrictive agreements, monopoly and merger situations. Competition is central to the effective and efficient operation of markets. It is important for the promotion of consumer welfare and fosters innovation, productivity, and growth, all of which will create wealth and alleviate poverty. The Consumer Protection Act of 2014 protects consumers from unfair and misleading market conduct, and it also establishes the Consumer Tribunal, which hears and deals with consumer complaints and connected matters.
Amadou Cissé, the Executive Secretary of the Commission, discloses their intervention in some areas within the last 6 months.
This, in line with our mandate on the 15K of the Act, we periodically conduct market studies in key sectors of the economy with a view to gauge the level of competition in the sector and identify competition issues and then issue policy notes if need be. We just finished one on the pharmaceutical, we just finished a pharmaceutical study with the Ministry of Health, the Pharmacy Council and the MCA and the National Pharmaceutical Services. The study is an ACF. ACF is the African Competition Forum. It's a network of all competition agencies in Africa, and the GCC is a member. So it's a cross-country study looking at pharmaceuticals in the ACF region, and the Gambia took part in it. So the study was done with a view to understanding the extent of competition in the generic pharmaceutical market and to understand the barriers to entry and expansion in the pharmaceutical market.
Boubacar Cissé, Director of the Commission, points out major challenges the GCCPC is faced with.
We are not a sector regulator. We look into all sectors of the economy. So one of the challenges sometimes we face is from our own sister agencies, because sometimes, they feel they have to, we are intruding into their sector, most especially sectors that have assigned sector regulators. Once you go in, there's this resistance in some of the instances to get the data that you need and also the support, because for long there would have been the sector regulator that everybody had known. So you coming from outside, some of the sector regulators or our ministries and departments feel that we're intruding. That's one. The other one also is in policies. Our mandate is to issue policy advice, and the policy advice in action taken and proposed to be taken by government bodies. It can be ministry, departments, agencies that will affect competition. So in most cases, we are not involved in the formation of these policies. So we are forced to do a firefighting. Sometimes you will see, government will bring, that is ministries or agencies and other departments, will introduce policies that affect competition.
Gambia Competition and Consumer Protection Commission is a public institution instituted to enforce the Commission Act of 2007 and the Consumer Protection Act of 2014. Reporting for the Fatu Network, I am Karimatu Jallo. The Gambia Competition